First broadcast on Sunday the 13th of July 2014.
You're listening to Radio Pod, free pop-up radio shows about you and your life. One more minute to our next live show. Downloading show information.
Hi, my name's Jen Nicholson.
And my name's Rob Smith, and today we'll be discussing the different routes to getting your own book published, from self-publishing through to getting a deal with an established publisher.
Over the next hour, we're talking to people who've already had their work published, find out how they did it, and other tips and advice during the writing process.
Why not email us with your question, or if you already have a book, share your experience with us. studio@radiopod.co.uk. Another email here from, where has it gone, Nigel Rowland Hicks, who says, I thought you might be interested in my experiences with self-publishing for your programme. Some people prefer hotels. Motorhome Novices Tour Cornwall by Nigel Rowland Hicks. Okay. Oh, so that was the title. It's quite a long title. So it's some people prefer hotels, Motorhome Novices Tour Cornwall. He says, I've always been an avid reader, particularly enjoying memoirs, nostalgia, travel and humour. And for a long time, it was an ambition of mine to write something on my own. But what? Inspiration came after we bought a motorhome whilst driving to Cornwall on our first ever trip. During torrential rain, my windscreen wiper packed up. We endured 24 hours of rotten weather, cooped up in our confined space with Monty, our faithful border terrier, and bless, surrounded by dripping wet weather gear and muddy boots, and no doubt a smelly dog smell as well, because when they get wet, they smell, don't they? Nigel continues, I encountered a wobbly campsite WC pan... Oops, and temperamental showers, and started to think that buying the motorhome was a terrible mistake. Thankfully, the weather improved, but as my wife, Em, and I got to explore some of Cornwall's most idyllic and historic places, some for the first time and others we'd been to before, if something could go wrong, it generally did. So he continues, I wrote down everything that happened, and when a grumpy old work colleague said he'd only ever stay in hotels, I knew I had a catchy title. Some people prefer hotels, Motorhome Novices Tour Cornwall, and started to write in earnest. The result isn't simply a travelogue, it's full of humour, and as well as writing about the places we visited, the farcical situations we found ourselves in, and my crotchety observations about our campsite experiences, I also go on a personal inner journey as sentimental old memories were triggered off by our motorhome holiday. That was the easy part. Having written the first draft, I kept trying to improve it again and again, and improve it yet again. Then I emailed a chapter at a time to a very good friend and literate friend who found all the silly mistakes I just couldn't see for looking. Then, when I was finally satisfied, I got hold of a copy of the Current Writers and Artists Yearbook and wrote a synopsis, which I started to send off to publishers and literary agents. However, if I was lucky, I would get back a pre-printed thank you but no thank you slip, and often received no acknowledgement whatsoever. Nigel continues, all very frustrating, but having written the book, I wanted people to read it, so looked into self-publishing, which I'd heard so many bad things about. I came across Matador Publishers, which were recommended by Harry Bingham, author of the Writer's and Artist's Guide to Getting Published. Unlike the majority of self-publishers, Matador actually seeks to sell self-published books and won't publish anything they don't consider to be up to scratch. Nigel continues on to page 2. Anyhow, I invested a fair amount of money in getting my manuscript professionally copy edited, a quirky cover illustrated, drawn up, and 1,500 copies run off. I also got my own website sorted out and figured if I could make the 100,000 or so motorhome owners in the UK aware of my book, I ought to be able to sell them. I ought to be able to sell them. Yes, sorry. My bad reading, the mind writing. Near the end of the writing process, I informed the motorhome magazines Practical Motorhome and MMM, the Camping and Caravanning Club and Caravan Club, that I was writing the book, and sent them ring-bound manuscripts asking if they could have a quick read through, give me a comment, and I could use on the book cover, so obviously, like testimonial sort of thing. Most importantly, once published, consider featuring the book in their magazines. I later offered copies for competition prizes. Practical Motorhome were great and said the author's travel writing is well observed and his engaging motorhome experiences will no doubt ring true with many of our readers and other motorhomes, which I used on the back cover. They also ran a full-page feature and another smaller one in the Christmas edition. The Caravan and Camping Club magazine also featured it, but I was disappointed that the Camping Club and MMM didn't pick up on it. Boo. Later on at a motorhome show, I joined the Motor Caravanners Club, which ran a full-page feature and then asked me to write regular articles, which I've enjoyed. So it's a springboard into different things as well, isn't it? Not just writing your own book, it can lead on to other things. He just sums up basically. Anyhow, it's been a long learning curve, and in hindsight, I should have ordered less books. Even so, it's a great feeling when someone buys a copy, but I still have a long way to go. So that was Nigel Rowland Hicks, and you can log on to his website to see all about his book, which is somepeoplepreferhotels.co.uk.